Welcome back to A Lighter Shade of Brown. Today's guest is Joey Fuson, and we're going to cover a lot of fun things, all the way from him being called a street lawyer and what that means. What is a street lawyer? Hemp law, cannabis lawyer, to his personal injury side. And then we also talked about being dads and just general business owners. So hope you enjoy it. All right, Joey, tell me why you're known as the street lawyer.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Oh,
it's
you're
great
welcome.
to be here.
I'm excited.
Awesome.
You're guest number one.
I know.
Yeah.
I appreciate the honor here. The street lawyer thing actually started back when, remember there's John Grisham wrote a book called The Street Lawyer. And so I had read that book years ago. And when I started practicing law, one of the things that I do is go to a lot of different courthouses. So I'm on the street all the time. I'm in a different courthouse usually every day of the week. And I started kind of calling myself a street lawyer. There's other lawyers. There's a few lawyers in our community that also kind of started picking up on that. We've got 7 of us that consider ourselves as street lawyers. And so what we've started using that for is a group that allows us to support each other. So throughout the week, we're on a thread that we're constantly, where are you, what you got going? And it's become a support group, but it's also a way for us to pool our money, support judges. So one of the things we've been doing lately is deciding on candidates we want to support as a group. We can donate more as a group. And we've already also started supporting charitable causes. So we've been donating to things like drug court, drug funds, JDEC, Innocence Project as a group. And we've been sponsoring tables and sponsoring those events and putting our money as lawyers towards that. So it's become kind of a brand and a mantra, and also like kind of a war cry.
Like an organization you've created.
That's right. So, yeah. I think but I also think it's important because I think lawyers in every community need other lawyers that do what they do, that go through what they go through, not just as maybe mental health, but you just need other people doing what you do to be able to bounce things off of. It makes you better lawyers. It makes you realize that you're not alone. I think in our practices, we sometimes feel alone.
100%. I mean, you know what? Here, I'm always arguing. I'm always making my arguments, and we always discuss them here and say, listen, let's attack it as a firm, because the greatest part about being a firm is we now have 10 minds, not just one. Yeah. And when you put 10 minds and 10 legal minds together, you got a better chance of making the right decision, the best argument, than if you're just solo out there winging it.
Yeah, and I think you find a lot of lawyers that are in solo practices really struggle with that. They struggle with feeling alone. They struggle with the fight that, especially as criminal defense lawyers, you're not wearing the white hat. Joe Brown and you guys are typically at ALG are representing the good person. They're wearing the white hat. They're the ones who they've been wronged. Yeah. Oftentimes we're not. And so as solo criminal defense lawyers who don't have big firms usually, a lot of criminal defense lawyers are kind of
more solos, or one or two.
It's great to have that community. And I think it's with ALG, you guys have built that in-house. You have a lot of street lawyers here inside the organization, Yeah.
What's fun, you probably don't realize this, but my dream was actually to be a criminal defense lawyer. So I actually
you can still do it.
Listen, I think I might be past my time.
That's right.
I've done a couple cases, but that's usually just for family members.
Yeah.
We reserve those for special people. Yeah. But I think what you do is admirable. People don't realize criminal defense lawyers are not about getting people off. They're about making sure the system is done correctly. People are not railroaded. And the system follows all the rules it's supposed to follow. Yeah. And it's when someone doesn't follow the rules that maybe there is an acquittal or something along those lines. But it's not that, hey, listen, I got this guy and everybody thinks of OJ and the glove doesn't fit. I got to get him off. That's really not what you're about. I mean, you're about making sure people, the system follows the system. Yeah. No one's railroaded. The people are taken care of. They get their day in court. They get to put up, whatever defense they have or wish to put up, and it really gives them a chance to have, express themselves while they're defending. And I think it's, you're their mouthpiece, as they say.
Yeah, I think you made a good point about being on the hook. We have trials, and one of the things we get to ask juries is, first of all, the presumption of innocence and trying to explain that to a jury, right? Yeah. We're presumed innocent, and you can say those words, but when you really talk to somebody and dive in a little deeper and get some brutal honesty, going, what you'll find out is people generally have, as we all do, an immediate impression of somebody who's a criminal defendant. What they must have done something wrong. Yeah. What did they do wrong?
Yeah. I mean, they wouldn't be here if they weren't. They weren't in the wrong place.
And the flip side of that in the personal injury world is how much money they want. They just are after money. It's the implicit bias of a jury. And so what I often do is talk to them about that specific thing is what do you guys think my role is? And I'll ask them, I'll say, what do you think my role is? And try to get him to say, get this guy off, get him off the hook. And I'll say, he's not on a hook. In fact, he is on your side. He's innocent as you're innocent sitting here. And he's innocent throughout the entire process until the very end when you've got to change your vote. You're team innocent, as we've been using this team innocent thing.
I like it.
You're on my team. We're team innocent. And they have to get you to take that jersey off and change it. And so by kind of driving home that presumption of innocence, which you're not on a hook, you've done nothing wrong until they've proven that, to your point, until they've done their job and shown you each element to that high standard beyond a reasonable doubt, you can't change your vote. And so if you get them thinking like that, a lot of times they kind of get it, go, okay, I'm on your team until you get me to jump off.
Yeah.
As opposed to the opposite, which is, usually they want to convict somebody.
They're already there.
and listen, I've been doing this lately.
there.
I listen to a lot of this true crime. So a lot of people come to me and go, I love true crime. I love listening to this stuff. And it's been huge the last decade with podcasts becoming so prolific. And what I do, I still love doing that stuff too. And I find myself wanting to, I often fall into the same trap of going, oh, they must have done it. This guy seems kind of shady,
Yeah.
So, and we try to take that to our personal injury world too, of going, getting rid of or getting to understand kind of the structure of a trial, what the burden of proof means, what you have to prove when you guys get these huge verdicts,
Well, and it's hard to, people say, oh, we're in the white hat, but you don't get to sue an insurance company. And in Arizona, you sue an individual. So now you've got a sweet old lady over there who ran a red light. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I just didn't see him. And they're making you look like you're trying to put grandma, in the poorhouse and sell her house. And really that's what defense attorneys do to us. So we're frequently in that criminal defense of trying to educate people of, hey, listen, we didn't ask to get hit. My client didn't ask to have a broken leg and $200,000 in medical bills. We're just asking that people accept accountability. And that's what we're always pushing, accountability. Listen, we're just asking for accountability, but it is tough because you don't sue the insurance company, and you don't get to say there's insurance. So they act there and they sit there like poor little old lady, and she's going to not have to, not have the money to eat because of this jury award. And we've had juries give us bad awards because of that, when it's completely false because she's got insurance and the insurance is going to pay the bill. But you know what? It struggles. And that's a big part of what we got to do as advocates is really figure out the way. And that's where being part of groups, and we have a lot of groups that we're part of that, hey, how do we couch this? What is the best way? We have a listserv as well. All the lawyers in Phoenix, all the lawyers in the state are in the listserv, and they're always sending around emails. And it's always the solos. I can see that they're struggling with, hey, what do I do in this situation? What do you guys recommend in this situation? They're looking for a lot of other guys.
We've got something like that. We've got something like that for the state bar related to personal injury. I think it's TTLA or whatever. And then in Tennessee, we've got TACTL, which is the Tennessee Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, and that's a listserv. And it's, again, that's statewide.
Yeah.
But man, the resources, and I always tell people, and you may say the same thing to some of the personal injury lawyers, if you're not a part of this group, you're just missing out.
Yeah.
You can't be as good as you need to be.
No, we're Arizona trial lawyers. We submit theirs. We submit a lot of stuff through the trial lawyers. We participate largely with them. We support them. And it's important because young lawyers, we're always told, hey, you got to join. I tell every lawyer I hire, join. I write the check. I pay for it. There's nothing here. You're going to learn from just the questions that are asked.
Sure.
You're going to see perspective that you've never seen before, and from really good lawyers, because there's several really good lawyers on there. You're also going to see who's an idiot.
Yeah, there was a book I read.
It's always fun to see that.
Book I read. Do you remember that? Don't Sweat the Small Stuff.
Yes.
You remember those little books that you bought? I mean, this may be past everybody's time. I mean,
I'm older than you, Joey,
good.
so we're good.
Right. They're little books, and I had them in college, and there was one that says, "Don't worry, make money." That was like volume 2, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things in that said, how do you find out how to be successful and make money? Well, go ask rich people. Because first of all, people who didn't make money can't give you any advice because they didn't make it. Right. And people who have made money often are the first people to be able to, want to tell you how they did it.
Yeah.
And the same thing with lawyers. Good lawyers are usually the first ones that say, "Let me tell you how I was good."
We want everybody to do it. I mean, we want to hold the insurance company accountable. We want to make sure that the prosecution is doing what they're supposed to.
Sure.
And I think that's what's key about being a good lawyer is and sharing it. Why are you going to hold it to yourself?
You have to want that.
Yeah.
You have to really want to get a big verdict for your client and work out. Because for trials for criminal defense lawyers, they're not profitable.
Yeah.
they're actually a financial loss to go try those cases.
No, trials for PI, same thing.
Same thing.
You know, I mean, we did a jury award against State Farm for $250. Their best offer to me was $80. You know what? That case took 3 years. I mean, we put a lot of money and effort into it. I mean, I don't think we made a tremendous amount of money, but we made a point. And we made a point that, hey, listen, you fuck with ALG, we're going to court. And that's just how it is.
And they keep track of that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They
Trust me,
absolutely
I made a lot of settlements afterwards where I think State Farm was like, maybe we should write Joe a check on this one.
And I think that also plays in the criminal defense world because the DAs know the lawyers that are willing to go to trial.
Yeah.
And not that we ever really want to go to trial, but the ones that are willing to go to trial, and I think that's important. And I think it's important to get the best offer from them on a criminal defense side in the same way getting the best offer from your insurance adjuster or your
It's a misconception about us lawyers that we all want to go to trial. We just want to go there and have our day in court. Truth is, it's never the best thing for your client. If you can resolve the case without going to trial, that's a guarantee resolution. Sure. Guarantees are not few and far between in law, and they're definitely not going to happen when you're in front of a jury because you just don't know what's going to happen.
That's right.
I mean, I've lost a case in front of a jury and I couldn't figure it out. I mean, frankly, it came down to they just did not like my client. I mean, at the end of the day, they saw she was a snob and a snot and did not like her and weren't going to give her any money. And that's tough. And sometimes you've got to do that. I mean, I've had cases where I've told a guy, listen, I don't like you. So if I don't like you, how are we going to get you money? We need to take this case and get it settled. So it's fun. But you know what? I think it's great what you do, and I've enjoyed it and I enjoy being your partner. But going back to making money, we have a good friend together, John, and what's he always say? And it's in a rap song is scared money doesn't make money.
Scared money doesn't make money.
you can't be afraid.
Yeah.
You got to put it out there, just like being a lawyer. You know what? You can't be afraid. We all had that first case, that first trial, that first time, and you got to go sit out there and you're going to get hammered. I mean, I remember getting yelled at by the judge because I couldn't remember, how to get a piece of paper into evidence because I couldn't remember the right words to say.
The nervousness of getting your meds in.
Exactly. 100%. I mean, eventually the defense, we got him in, but it was nerve-wracking, and it is nerve-wracking. It's funny because we had a court hearing here on Thursday, and I couldn't cover it. It was mine, and I'm like, hey, I need someone to cover this. I got to go run an errand. My son got married yesterday.
Congratulations!
Yeah, thank you. So I had to go do something, for the wedding, and I gave it off to a young associate, and I swear to God, I just saw her face turn white, and she's been with me several years, and she was just like, but I don't know the file. And I go, I don't either. I haven't even read it. It was from some lawyer who's no longer here. He settled the case. I was like, it's tomorrow at 10. You got plenty of time. Figure it out. And she spent the next 2 hours, and then she comes to me, well, there's this wrong, and this wrong, this wrong. I go, oh, you're really good. I was like, I would have figured that out about 9:30 before the 10 o'clock hearing.
Well, I
would have just winged it from that point.
You'd love my law partner, Mark. You haven't met Mark yet.
Yeah.
Mark is 10 years older than me, but it's his thing, and all the young lawyers in our office all have their stories of Mark handing them a file and going, oh, it'll be fine. And it's usually not fine. It's usually a shit show, and he sends them into, and they come back, and they're all upset. They've been yelled at by the, whatever. It didn't go well.
Yeah, you yelled at by the judge or whatever else.
Listen, you need to have that happen. You need to have your ass chewed a little bit. So I deal with my daughter in cheer.
Yeah.
They compete, and they lose, they win, whatever. If they lose, they're all upset. They're crying. I love when they lose. Secretly. I love it because I go, they need to experience loss when it really is not that big of a deal. Now, they think it's a big deal, and I'm not going to tell her it's not a big deal.
No.
It ain't a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Listen,
and it's been wonderful. So when our younger lawyers have that happen to, I love it. I love when they come back disheveled and upset and have a client kind of upset because you're like, good, you got to build the calluses a little bit. And
you learn more from a loss than you do a win every day, all day.
Yeah.
And
you just can't have too many.
No, you don't want to lose, but but you're going to lose. And you're going to have to learn.
Well, that goes back to what you're saying. If you're going to be trying cases and telling the insurance company, no, we're not taking your 80 grand because it's worth 200, you may lose some of those because you may not be right every time.
Yeah.
In the criminal defense world, it's the same thing. I mean, you see this in whether it's civil litigation here in Arizona because I'm involved in some of the stuff with John and LAC. And anytime there's, I'm astounded by how much ultimately at the end of the day, through the litigation process, through criminal defense, through the trial, whatever, at any point in time through that process, it's it can be extremely difficult. And I think that it's nice when you can have some losses and wade that ground.
Well, you know what, you don't want to lose too big and you don't want to lose too often, but every now and then everybody loses. Michael Jordan didn't make every jump shot at the end of the game. That's just the truth.
Well, clearly ALG has been winning more than they've been losing, so that's been good.
we do our best. We just want to be just like you.
That's right.
So the great thing about Joey also is that, through our partnership, through our friendship, we became partners.
Mm-hmm.
And, now he does a lot of Law Tiger cases, and he's the Law Tigers of Nashville and of Tennessee.
Yeah.
So it's fun because we collaborate on those cases a lot. And I enjoy what I do. I tell my kids, it's not a day of work if you love what you do. I come to work every day excited. I honestly just can't wait to just yell at an adjuster sometimes. I mean, whatever. My wife could have yelled at me and I'm angry. I was like, who am I getting today?
Yeah.
Which case is going to be put on my desk and I'm going to hand this adjuster his ass.
Well, listen, when I I've come from a world of, I've been doing personal injury work since I first got licensed, but we do a lot of other things at our office, and it's been really refreshing to come back and work around you. I'll tell you, because there's nobody can rip ass like you can, and I've been enjoying that because I've been getting involved in some of these cases that we've been a part of, and seeing your style and seeing your emotion. And I'll tell you, it's infectious, and it's caused the growth of Megan. Megan, our case manager.
Oh yeah,
a lot of her growth has come from learning with you, and you've been a big part of that too. And she's been doing amazing.
She's great.
Amazing.
I got a Megan. It's always confused me when Megan's on the phone.
Yeah.
They're like, Megan's on the phone. I go, no, Megan's in the office next door to me.
Yeah.
My Megan's been my paralegal for now 20 years. So It's great. But your Megan is very talented. She's a smart woman.
Well, we went through we went, again, it's kind of part of running a law office. Sometimes and I'm the worst because I'd never want to let people go. I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm too nice. And, we had somebody that just wasn't doing a great job, and he should have been gone sooner. And once we made that move, it's amazing how good people can drive your business.
Yes.
You can have systems all you want to, but you really got to have some good people. And it's been.
I can attest to that. We mutually had someone we need to let go, and I was like, he's gone, and Joey's like, I don't know. I'm like, no, I got this, Joey. He's fired as of like 3 days ago.
That's right.
You're like, okay, you handle that.
You're not asking me, you're telling me.
Yeah, I'm like, no, this is done. I've been doing this a long time, and unfortunately, I've fired a lot of people, but most of them are worthy, and you find out later that your business grows as a result of getting the right people in the right place.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not that they're a bad person.
No. Most of the time they're not bad people.
It's the right fit thing.
Yeah, it's just not
sometimes
right fit.
Timing too. I've noticed that sometimes people, there's a timing thing. A time in their lives when they're ready to be what you need them to be. And we've talked about this to young lawyers and even young paralegals. Is I don't expect them to necessarily care as much as I do.
Yeah,
honestly, I
it's
think
hard to find someone who cares like the owner cares.
It's just hard, and it's really hard. But when you get people like Sarah, my paralegal, and Chloe, and some people around you that get close, it's pretty nice.
No, it is. Megan's been my paralegal for 20 years because Megan looks out for me. And she'll be like, Joe, you need to look at this. One of my best friends works for me, Fabian. He needed a job. He was going through a rough time. He'd closed his business, and he's like, hey, I need a job. So I'm like, well, what can you do? But what I know he will do is he'll always have my back. And he literally, I can tell you, there's been a couple lawyers who have no longer here because they were doing stuff that they shouldn't have been doing. And he called me. He's like, hey, I know you're not here, but you need to know this is what's going on.
Yeah.
And then we make a change. And having people like that in your organization is what makes your organization good, and it sucks. Letting people go is never good. It's not something I like to do. I love hiring and growing, and that's the best, fun, and having big parties when we have big home runs and things like that.
Right.
I'm a huge Cowboy fan. Our first case we settled here for over $1 million was about 9 months into me starting the firm, actually. And I bought a Thursday night game, Cowboys Cardinals, and we bought a suite, and the whole firm went, and it was great. It was a blast. I still remember. They still talk about it, actually.
How is that being a Cowboys fan now?
Listen, we fucking suck, all right? But
well, listen.
I'll admit it. Dak is probably not the quarterback that everybody thinks he is. It's tough. You know what? But I'm not gonna. It's my team. It's been my team. I'm not a Fairweather fan. But aren't you a Titans fan?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say.
Yeah,
it's really bad. I'll say this, that when I was in college, I went to University of Tennessee, Knoxville. And so when I was there for 4 years. I had 2 years of Peyton Manning. I had a national championship. And then I come back home to Nashville and we go to the Super Bowl. That's how I started.
Yeah.
It's been completely downhill ever since that moment of 99, 2000. That 25 years of really subpar athletics.
Oh, I understand because my timeline's a little bit sooner than yours because I'm older than you. But here I was at ASU, we lost the Rose Bowl with our chance for a national championship the same year Cowboys win the Super Bowl. And they're playing here in Tempe, and I'm actually at the game against the Steelers. So I was doing security for the ASU, and then we got to do security for the Super Bowl. So I got to go to a Cowboys Super Bowl, and I think it's the last one they were at. So
when was that?
Super Bowl 30. So what, we on 60 now?
96?
90, yeah.
7?
90, I think it was 96. Yeah.
Go.
It was a long time. But it was fun. I still have memories from it. My son is not as old as the Cowboys are since their last championship. So he likes to point out because he's an Eagle fan. Well, I've never seen him win a Super Bowl, Dad. I'm like, I was born in '99.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
I think kids need to adopt their parents' sports teams and go through the suffering. I remember my daughter was on the back porch watching Tennessee play.
Yeah.
And she was so mad. She goes, "Why do we have to cheer for them? They're awful." And I go, "It's just what we do. That's what we have to do." Are. She goes, "Can I cheer for the other team? They seem so much better." I'm like, "No, that's not how it works."
Oh my God.
So,
I understand. My son is Troy, after Troy Aikman, and he's an Eagle fan.
So how old are your kids?
My kids are so my son just got married. He's 26. He'll be 27 in a couple weeks. I have a stepdaughter who's 27. I got a stepson who's 23. My daughter's 22, and then I had a stepdaughter who's 10. She's the one that runs everything. You've met Abby. You've had dinner with Abby. She controlled the whole business dinner.
That's awesome. She did,
and she was like 9. I mean, she had everybody at the table. I mean, she had people. Mm-hmm. Different law firms all over the United States, and you got a 9-year-old who's running the whole thing.
Holding court.
She did a great job.
I've got two. I got an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old daughter. So I've got one in college and one who thinks she's in college.
Yes. The younger ones always think they're the same as the older ones.
That's right.
It's tough. And then daughters are always, yeah, my 22-year-old, she's down at U of A, and it's like, yeah, she still thinks she's a party animal. And apparently, because I'm on, I do TV commercials, she's a Kardashian, I think. So yeah, she thinks that, oh, well, everybody knows who you are. So everybody knows who I am. So yeah, I'm like, that doesn't mean shit. Still got to go earn it.
Yeah, that's right. It's more eyes on you.
Yeah, exactly right. But you know what? Being a parent, I think is the best job in the world. I mean, I gotta tell you, my son got married yesterday, and I was emotional. I had to give a speech, and I got choked up and got teary eyed, and his wife looked at me later, and she's like, "I've never even seen you get like that." I'm like, I don't like to get like that. That's not who I am.
Well, you're different than me, man. Yeah. If I've got to talk about personal stuff, I get emotional. I think I hold it back all the time in court. And
yeah,
I've only maybe had it break a couple times over the 20 years in court, but yeah, I get emotional. I have a hard time speaking about it, and especially with what we do. I deal with the injury stuff. It happens the same way. I'm dealing with people at their worst. I mean, they're calling us when they've either gone through a really awful wreck, they've been arrested, or they're going through a divorce or getting sued. And so nobody calls us at their best moment. In fact, I would say most people call us in times where even their people that are close to them are kind of pushing them away.
Yeah,
and it's important for us as lawyers and as parents to have the same quality. And oftentimes I'll find myself being better with my clients than I am with I feel like that as a lawyer, I'm getting hired to do this, but I get home and you have to really battle to have that same patience and compassion and understanding of your kids when they make mistakes. People call me all the time and I go, "Oh, it's no big deal. We will fix this. We got this." And then my daughter comes home and I'm like, "What do you do?
How the hell can you do this?
I raised you better than that." So judgy and judgmental.
Exactly.
And so I battle that a lot. And it's interesting because I think as we have more kids, my law partner has 8 kids.
Oh, wow.
I think we get a little bit better, as we get older. And especially if you have kids as you're older.
Yes.
I find that I'm a different parent at 47 than I was at 37. That's for sure.
I'm 100% a better parent now than I was younger. But in younger, you have different stresses too. I think as you become, older, you understand. You don't sweat the small stuff, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
When you're younger, the small stuff is everything.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and I think learning from that and and growing from that. That's why I can't wait to be a grandparent, because I think I'm going to be the best
Well,
ever.
You hold on to that. I'm good.
Well, yeah.
I'm not looking to get any older any quicker.
I'm just looking at, fill them with sugar and send them back to get some. I'm looking for my revenge.
That's right. I always just joke. I've got 2 daughters, so I've got one job, just to keep them off the pole.
Yes.
That's it. Just keep them off the pole.
Keep them off. You know what? I understand. I completely agree. I've got a couple daughters myself. Yeah. So understand that. It was nice to see my daughter last night too, and then she's like, "Well, I'm going out to Scottsdale." I'm like, "No, you're not."
Well, one of the things that I battle a little bit is just what I do, especially with DUI law, my cannabis practice. Is my daughters see that. It's still awkward talking to them about that. It's legal in Arizona. It's now been legalized in Tennessee to some degree, and now we got over 26 states where it's legal. But I still have a hard time with my kids talking about it. I want them to understand it's just like any vice.
Yeah.
It's good for some people, not good for some people. And, luckily for me, they both seem to be, it's not been a hot topic. It doesn't seem like something they're.
No, I understand. I mean, it's something
and alcohol's the same thing.
Yeah, 100%. And I was just going to say alcohol's the same thing. It's something I struggled, I talked to my kids about. My grandfather was an alcoholic, so I'm like, listen, you have to pay attention because this is genetic.
I think, is everybody's grandparents an alcoholic?
Apparently.
I think so. Smoked long cigarettes.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly right.
I know.
Yeah. It smoked in the car with the windows up. Yeah. Didn't wear seatbelts.
Yeah, gas furnace in the living room.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how we lived through our lives. I mean, and we baby our kids, and then we were doing crazy shit. I mean,
that's right.
Never wore helmets, never any of those things,
I mean, I won't talk about this on the podcast, but yeah, I mean, when it happens and your daughters do make those mistakes, which mine have, it's I just think about a lot of the stuff John and I were doing. Brian, can you imagine Brian in high school?
Oh my God.
Yeah, you can imagine that.
Yeah, he's My daughter got I'll just talk about it. My daughter got a criminal speeding ticket, and she was doing 90 in a 65, and I was like, "Were you doing 90?" She goes, "I don't even know." My bet is she might have been closer to 100.
That's right.
And I'm like, we're gonna have to do some. We worked it out, but she, part of that deal was the judge wanted her to do some community service, and I was all on board with that. I'm like, listen, you got to learn your lesson. You don't just you got to pay attention. People, you're driving a car and people get hurt. I've had plenty of cases where I've sat in my conference room and cried with the family. I mean, because we have a family member not here, or someone's lost a limb, or some of the worst things ever, and it's just tough. And understanding that, hey, listen, we all make mistakes and we got to grow from mistakes, but you also got to understand mistakes have really bad consequences sometimes, and trying to learn from that, but trying not to be too hard is the hard part of what we do. We see both sides, and we want to make sure that we keep our kids safe, and we keep them down the straight and narrow, and don't make the mistakes that we made. But it's the toughest job in the world. I'm going to lie to you, and especially we see the worst stuff. So we know all the bad things can happen. My son is convinced I was the worst father ever because I wouldn't let him on an ATV because I had a 7-year-old case with a 7-year-old who died on an ATV.
Oh yeah. We've had several ATV cases.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to have 3-wheelers.
Yeah.
I mean, how dangerous are those? But the ATV cases are tough. And, especially when you see, that one we had an ATV case where she absolutely, it broke almost most of the bones in her upper body. I mean, it was really bad.
It's just hard. It's hard to see that, and you want to put a little bubble around your children.
Yeah, but then you look at how people ultimately grow and become who they are. It's without the bubble. It's going
100%.
through that process. So
and
I think kind of connect it back to being lawyers. I mean, it's the same thing. Kind of making full circle is you become a good lawyer and are good at representing your clients by going through those battles and having those battle scars. And I love nothing more when somebody comes in and you go, "I've had your case.
Yeah,
I know what we're going to do here. I've already seen the light at the end of the tunnel here. Just follow me.
Yeah,
we got this.
Trust me. This is mine.
Trust me.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I told him. I said, "Listen, I've done." Probably at this point in my career, 10, almost 15,000 cases, and before that I was an insurance adjuster. So I had a volume there too. I'm like, I have this, I've got this. Your job is to take care of your family, go to your doctor's appointments. I've got the rest, and I think that's the best thing that we can do. And actually physically watching clients see their face relieve when they realize, what, this guy does have this.
Yeah.
I think that's great for me. I mean, it's like getting the money for them is great too, but honestly, seeing them just have that relief because they know that next 3-6 months is going to be some of the toughest stuff that they deal with. but they know we've got their back. And I think that's just, I don't know. That's really what makes me happy doing what I do.
It is the best part of being a trial lawyer, a street lawyer, whatever, is that call. And sometimes whether they hire you or not, it's the call they give, and I'll give them 5-10 minutes of going, okay, look, let me tell you what's going on. And I'll break it down for them. You don't have to worry about going to jail. You don't worry about, you're going to get money. You're going to get everything taken care of. You need to work on your getting to sleep. I'm sure you're not sleeping right now. You need to work on eating. You're probably not eating right now. I know my stomach's been in a knot. I understand. Yeah. You're probably sweating at night. You can't sleep. I haven't been able to sleep. Yeah, I know. That's stress. That's trauma. Yeah. It'll work itself out. You focus on getting better. I'll take care of everything else. And we'll talk in a couple of weeks, and you can just see him go, thank you, man. Thank you. That's what I needed. And tell your wife that, or tell your husband, we got it. So when she's going to ask you when you get home, what'd the lawyer say? Say, I talked to the lawyer. He's got it. We got this. It's great. It's the 100%. Best part. Yeah.
It's really, I mean, it's the best part of what we do. And honestly, I think that's what makes a good lawyer. Because if you become a lawyer, and I have had this here, where lawyers come in and they're, I want to do this, I want to do that. But their goal is about money. If your goal is about money, you're never going to be a good lawyer. You have to be about the people. You have to be about the representation.
Well, that's the trick, right? Yeah. Because the personal story, I mean, we do this now. We make our clients write out life stories. So when I meet with them and they don't want to do it, I mean, we have to remind them, be like, listen, you got to write it down or type it out. Just give me your life story. And some of them have never even done that. And to have them do that and read their story, whether it's a personal injury case, whether it's a lawsuit or a criminal case, maybe not a cannabis compliance work, that's probably to fit in, but learning their story helps you with an adjuster, helps you with a jury, helps you with a prosecutor. You get to know them, and then you realize maybe that they're not a composition of their worst decisions. There's so much more than that. And sometimes you'll find out explanations of conduct that they don't even recognize, and you realize, I see what's going on here. I think I can get you help. I mean, honestly, in the same way, we help our motorcycle clients that get injured in motorcycle wrecks find medical providers, right? They have to go. Some of them don't have medical insurance, don't have a doctor. We have to help them. You've really helped us find medical providers in our community that help our clients. Yeah. I mean, really, a part of being a personal injury lawyer is finding medical doctors who will work on a lien.
They're your resource, yeah.
Well, because they don't have health insurance. You know how screwed up our healthcare system is, and they need treatment. They've been injured as a result of somebody else's negligence. Yeah. And now they can't even go get the treatment they need. So some of the resources you have. Well, the same thing we do in our criminal defense world, people come to us, and I would say the origin of the majority of criminal defense or criminal cases in the entire country, alcohol, drugs, and mental health. You can probably connect all three of those to, not all, but I bet damn near 98% of criminal conduct starts from one of those three things, right? Yeah. And all three of those things can be treated without jail, right? So alcohol and drugs, that's treatment. Mental health, treatment. So a lot of times what we're doing is guiding our clients to get the help they need. And then my trick is this. I say, hey, look, they want to put you in jail. What if we come up with another solution and we fix the problem before we get to them? So when I go talk to them, I get to say, hey, guess what? You don't have to worry about it. We fixed it. He's had undiagnosed bipolar. He's been drinking basically to quiet the demons for the last 10 years. I've got him in an inpatient program. He's now working the program. He's got a sponsor. He's now on medication for bipolar. You don't need to do anything. We've got this.
That's right.
And the DA goes, oh. And so, because one of the biggest fears for any DA or any prosecutor is that they're going to give somebody a good deal. Then they're going to go out and commit some heinous crime, heinous crime. Yeah. and they're going to be on the front page of the paper.
Yep. And then the DA's the fault.
Oh, the judge does the same thing at sentencing. So if you can give them a buffer, a security zone to say, look, you don't have to worry about that. We've got all these professionals that have already taken care of this. You don't have to sweat it. That's how we get great results, is that kind of production.
Well, and you know what, PI is not much different. I mean, honestly, if you can make your client a person to the adjuster, that adjuster becomes your advocate.
It does.
And if that adjuster's advocating for you, they're going to go get more money. I get more money on a lot of cases where they're like, oh, this is a top offer. That's not the top offer. Let's talk. Well, let me explain how this happened. Let me explain how this has affected my client. Let me explain how Jim, and you start using first names, how Jim, can't do this and can't do that and can't play golf anymore. And Jim played golf 3 times a week. And these are things that you're not factoring in. And if you get, a smart educated adjuster, they're going to come and go back. I just did this just Thursday. I mean, I had an adjuster at 90,000, and I'm like, no, you're missing some key things on this case that just aren't right. And let me explain what they are. And you know what? They called back and said, all right, we'll pay the 120, because I wanted them to pay 120. That's what my client wanted, was 120.
And because
they did that.
And that is the best that's the best advocacy, because honestly, speed and timeliness in the personal injury world is so important. Because say you said, screw you, we're not taking 90, and you file a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Okay. Fast forward a year.
Yeah.
Fast forward 18 months. You may get the 120 eventually, right?
No, 100%.
How much better is it to be able to get your client's story, have the credibility that Joe Brown has, to be able to make that pitch to that adjuster and get that 120 without having to file the lawsuit?
Yeah.
And nobody talks about that. That's not in the headlines, trial verdict for, no. That's just good lawyering is what that is. And we do it all the time in our criminal defense world. Nobody talks about those settlements. I mean, everyone wants to talk about the 2-word verdict, which is great. The not guilty is great. But the brilliance happens outside that.
100%. Right? And that's where our reputation, that's where your reputation, I'm sure. I mean, they know you. They know what they're going to do, and that's why you're going to get a deal that maybe somebody else doesn't get a deal. Right. And I think that's how I know, knowing the inside of the insurance company, I know what buttons to push and when it's appropriate and when I can and when I can't, and to try to get that final settlement so my client can settle the case. Because this, you know what, I wanted to file suit in this case, and I said, listen, I want to file suit. And my client's like, no, I need the money. I need this case to settle. And I was like, okay. I was like, give me 3 weeks. Just give me 3 weeks. She's like, I'll take the 90. I go, it's worth 120 plus. She go, I'll take the 90, Joe. I need this money. I go, can you give me 3 weeks? She goes, I can give you 3 weeks. Okay, all right. Let me put it together. And I was able to get it to the right place and get that adjuster, to get that supervisor involved. And then, I knew that was going to take a week or two for them to get me more authority, knowing the inside of the insurance company and how long that process takes. Mm-hmm. And I made my arguments, and I said, here's what I need you to do. I need you to go. And the adjuster, and he was like, yeah, you know what? I see it. I don't disagree with you, Joe. I think your value's straight, and being realistic as a lawyer too. Don't come in and ask for $1 million when the case is worth 120. Don't come in and ask for acquittal when your guy's caught red-handed on a video, with everything they need to prove. Hey, let's talk about a plea. I mean, that's having a reasonable.
Well, it's about credibility with the jury, or credibility with the DA, and really credibility all around. Because I guess it can be easy when you think, well, I'm not going to see this adjuster again.
Yeah,
this adjuster, it's just one time. You'd be amazed how often you'll see that person become a supervisor. Put it in Colossus or whatever system they're using. It gets fed in. So when anytime State Farm pulls up Joe Brown, it comes up with this narrative, and you just don't know. And I try to talk about our kids. We're coming full circle a lot. Yeah. I try to tell my kids, you just don't know who you're dealing with at any point in life. You don't know who they're going to become. You always treat people the same way. You always be kind. You be honest. All those, your credibility matters. Because you just never know when I can't tell you how many people I've run across as a lawyer in some random county that walks up that I was in, law school with at 1 year, and they come up and go, man, how you doing? And let me help you here. Yeah, it was because I was probably nice, and I didn't, don't remember them, but it's just having that consistency in our practice, and it's important,
But you know what? It's because you're a good person, Joey.
Well, thank you, Joe Brown.
But if you have the same consistency. You're a very successful lawyer, but you still approach things like you did as a young lawyer. You're still humble, and that's the key. I mean, there's a lot of lawyers in here. There's a lot of lawyers on TV. They haven't handled a case ever or in 20 years, but they're the most arrogant person you're going to meet because they want people to know them because they're on TV. You know what? I get those cases all day long. I mean, I'm good friends with a gentleman who's good friends with his best friend is another PI attorney. His best friend. I mean, they've been friends for 50 years. He sends me all of his PIs. He goes, Joe, you actually care about the client. Yeah. He's about the money. He goes, I said, I literally just settled a case for $900,000 that he sent me that he could have sent to his best friend.
Well, let's make sure we don't release those names.
I'm keeping those names on a down low.
Yeah,
he has sworn me to secrecy. He's like, you can never tell him that I send you my business. I go, I will never tell him that. Yeah. So, but you know what? That's about being genuine. You know what? I'm the same person I was when I drove a 1984 Nissan that barely drove, and with
Sentra?
faded paint. It was a Nissan Sentra. So that was my college car. I think I paid $1,000 for it, and
That's
then immediately
a good car,
put the shop.
that Sentra right there.
Yeah, it worked for us for a while. Yeah. So Joey, tell me about Cannabis Law Group. Explain this to me. Like I'm not. Listen, I'm going to be straight up. I have never smoked weed in my life.
Oh, well, good.
I don't even. I thought for a second.
Nothing wrong with that.
I wanted to go in the FBI. And that was a prohibitor when we were younger. If you had smoked weed, you were automatically not eligible for federal law enforcement. They've since changed those rules, I think. But back when I was a kid, that was the rule. So, but tell me about what you do.
Yeah. So, it started, I guess, back doing criminal defense work. I mean, I represented a large number of people charged in Tennessee with violation of the marijuana laws, and to understand that cannabis is the plant. So the correct word, the scientific word, the plant itself is called cannabis. And people will get this wrong, and they mean well, but cannabis is the plant, and there are two versions of it. There's marijuana and hemp. Marijuana is the federally controlled substance, illegal version of it. In Tennessee, it's still very illegal.
Is it?
Yeah. And then hemp in Tennessee was legalized in 2018 with the passing of the Farm Bill, which says you can have cannabis that has less than 0.3% Delta-9 THC. So they basically just put a line in the sand and said if it's less than 0.3, it's hemp. If it's over 0.3, it's marijuana. The government did that in their brilliance. And so Tennessee in 2018 had a growing hemp industry. All of a sudden you had the ability to make products in Tennessee and grow hemp. And what they didn't realize was how THCA works. So the last several years, they've had cannabis in Tennessee that's the same as cannabis in every other state.
Oh,
It's very, very potent, and it's very, loaded with THC. They've since changed that loophole, and it's going to go away. But in the process of doing that, you've had a very, huge industry, a billion-dollar industry probably in Tennessee over the last several years. They've and in doing that, we started representing all of the manufacturers and the dispensaries. And, we think about our world in personal injury and criminal defense. We're getting people after a mistake has happened or after a wreck, right? So we went on and tried to develop a system. We run a subscription model, so they pay us monthly. And we try to prevent them from having problems.
Yeah.
So it's a compliance-based program. We have a compliance director, and he goes around to all the stores. He makes sure the labeling's done properly, makes sure they're in compliance. As the laws change, which they've been doing now, they've changed 3 or 4 times in the last 4 years. I mean, every year they're changing. We're keeping them up to speed, making sure they're compliant, and allowing them to be successful in their business. And it's a total flip from our world as criminal defense lawyers or personal injury lawyers, where you're dealing with bad things all the time. You're dealing with problems and wrecks and arrests. Here, we're trying to keep any problems from happening. And it's been wonderful because the clients appreciate it. As they're growing, they can budget it as a business, and they're not having to pay an hourly rate to a lawyer.
Nice.
So it's really helpful to them. Now, with Tennessee changing the laws, it's going to change it's going to change our market in Tennessee, but we've now started going out nationally. So we've been going into Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Missouri, Ohio. We've been going to other states and helping those companies with their compliance there. So we've now ventured out it started as Hemp Law Group because hemp was the legal cannabis plant in Tennessee, so that made sense. And now it's kind of gone to as much of cannabis now as it's gone to our mushroom products, people with the mushroom products.
Well, I was just going to ask you about the mushrooms. How is that
mushrooms, your kava, your kratom. Kratom's a huge product, especially the natural. You can have kratom in Tennessee as long as it's a natural-based product. And the problem you're seeing, I know we're going to get off on a tangent here.
Oh, yeah.
But one of the biggest problems in the country right now is called it's 7-hydroxy, 7-HO. Okay. You probably see it in gas stations without realizing anything with a 7 or an OH or HO on it it's just gas station heroin.
Okay.
And it's being sold all over the country. It's awful.
And it's legal.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Probably not, but just what scientists do, and they're really good at it, and people who develop products is they're usually one step ahead. You take a molecule, you make it just a little different, and it's now not legal.
Yeah.
And it has a very similar effect. But the problem is there's no regulations, there's no testing, there's all the things that come into that. So you've seen products like the mushroom products, the kava, the kratom, all those products kind of being looped in. And now with they've banned vaping. You can't sell vapes in Tennessee without licensing.
Oh, wow.
You can't ship vapes across the country
And go through Tennessee?
unless you're registered with the federal government. So we're really trying to put a stamp down on a lot of these alt products. And generally what happens is the manufacturers and the product makers and just are ahead of them. So there's the products out there before the government realizes it's out there, and then they got to go change the law to fix it. So you've got a couple products right now that are pretty dangerous. So we're trying to help these businesses and these dispensaries and the manufacturers stay in the rails, not get into these products, and make sure all their products are good, and then allow them, as the laws change, know what states they can go into. So one of the things we're dealing with is they want to move into other states now.
Yeah.
Well, every state's different.
Yep.
So they need a lawyer to help them understand the state laws, and we've been doing that. So good.
So is Tennessee, it seems like most of the nation is going forward and legalizing cannabis, but Tennessee seems to say, hey, we're going to be the one. We're not doing it.
We want to criminalize abortion. We want to criminalize marijuana. We love alcohol. Yeah, it's really bad.
Well,
we love guns.
Because you make alcohol
we love
and
alcohol and guns. So we
what,
really hate abortions and cannabis. So
wow.
I don't know. We are a very Republican state with a very Democratic city.
Yeah.
So Nashville is a very blue city and a very red state. And Memphis is the same way. So there's two blue dots in Tennessee.
Yeah. And
everything else is very red. And Tennessee has a super majority now. So that works. Nothing's getting through unless it's on the agenda of the Republican Party. And now what's interesting is Trump came out, 2 months ago and blessed medical marijuana across the country.
Yes.
Said he's going to reschedule cannabis, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
The hope is that you have states like Tennessee that are just stuck back and backwards, realizing now that the Republican agenda includes medical cannabis.
Yes.
And so if that's the case, then it's going to be blessed and everything's good. And what's interesting about Tennessee, and you'll see this too, with the hemp laws about the 0.3%, bear with me, that's based on a percentage, right? So how do you, if you want to, alcohol's the same way.
Yeah.
So beer, what's the max for a beer? 5.5%.
I think it is, yeah.
5.4, 5.5.
And it depends on which state, because like Utah, you can't get anything.
So in some states, what they'll do is they'll say if you want, you can only have certain strength beer in a gas station. If you want to have it stronger, it's got to be in a liquor store, high gravity beer. Okay. So if you want to get drunker off a Miller Lite, you can't get a stronger Miller Lite.
No.
What do?
You just drink more Miller Lites.
30 Miller Lites.
Exactly.
Okay. So in Tennessee, the way they've created when the federal government did this with the Farm Bill, it's a 0.3%. So what do? Just make a bigger gummy.
Yeah.
You make a bigger product. You put it in liquid. So liquid is very dense. So in Tennessee, we have the gummies the same way you'd have in Arizona or California. Actually stronger in Tennessee than they are in Colorado.
Oh, wow.
Okay. There's a cap in, I think it's 10 milligrams in Colorado. We're like 25.
Oh, wow.
Liquid. We love THC in Tennessee. As long as it's in a can, you can put it on a pallet and you can tax it. We love it. So we don't mind you getting high in Tennessee.
Yeah.
As long as you drink it or eat it.
Just don't smoke it.
Just don't smoke it.
Yeah. Okay.
Makes no damn sense.
I have no clue. I mean,
It's because the alcohol industry hijacked it last year. The ABC and the alcohol industry in Tennessee came and said, we want this.
Yeah. And
so what they did was get rid of all the smokable, make it in the cans and the things you can package and put in packaging stores.
And now we can make money and tax it and make money.
And in doing so, they virtually killed most of the industry. So that's what's happened. That's the cannabis news in Tennessee right now.
I am much better educated than I've ever been on cannabis in Tennessee. I'm always curious about it. My son, he started his own business. He actually dropped out of college and started his own business, and he was of doing mushroom sales, and he sells strands of mushrooms that and I guess they're like mushroom spores is what they are. So they're not true. So it's not magic mushrooms, but it's spores. So I mean, he sells them, and he's done really, really well. He does it out of his own house, and are they
psychedelic mushrooms, or are they just like
he sells them all, but there are some I think they do sell some psychedelic, but they're spores, so they're not kind of the working around the edges. It's not, he's not selling it, but can someone take the spore and then go grow it? Yes, if they know
what's interesting about mushrooms is they sell. I've got a friend of mine who does this in Tennessee. They sell bags, and they're basically bags that all you do is take those spores, drop it in the bag, and then the bag ultimately you can have mushrooms that will grow kind of indefinitely with that strand. So it's not indefinitely, but I think it can ultimately produce a large number of mushrooms.
So it's kind of interesting. So he's done well. He's done well with that. But now that when he started that, it just was new. Now it's become everybody's doing that. It's very it's becoming accepted, and even they've talked here about allowing magic mushrooms, period.
Well, you've got them.
Yeah.
So what they've done now is across the country, you'll see psilocin, which is also illegal. But what they've done is the same thing they did with cannabis. They take the molecule, they tweak it a little bit, and it does virtually the same thing. And now it's legal, and they've done that with mushrooms. You can go to a lot of states and buy mushroom gummies that are completely legal for now, probably untested, probably not super regulated, maybe a little bit dangerous. Who knows?
You're gonna roll the dice. You already, what the hell? At least they're
saddle up.
The benefit is you're buying it at a store and you're not buying it from a guy in the corner. And at least there is hopefully some, may not be regulation, but there's at least some standards.
Yeah, when I was a kid, we bought our mushrooms from the corner.
Exactly. Well, the guy, you don't even know if they were in that weed you got, whether they put a little something in there or not.
Well, that's kind of you hit on a good point, though. That's the argument for regulation. I mean, when you talk about legalizing drugs and legalizing certain things, the point of legalization is you allow it to be regulated. And then you allow for there to be rules and testing. And we've been, the hemp industry in Tennessee has been begging for regulation. They want rules to follow. When I was representing a lot of them early on, when there were no rules, we were trying to put our own rules in place as if, what would you do? Well, don't sell it to anybody, younger. I mean, for a long time in Tennessee, you could sell gummies and certain product, not smokable, to a 10-year-old. There was no age limit.
Oh my God.
Until 2 years ago. So you could have a 25 milligram gummy and be 10 years old and go buy it.
Wow.
Now, a responsible owner wouldn't do that, and people we represented wouldn't do that because we would explain.
But not everybody's responsible, and not everybody's looking out for the public, and not everybody cares.
That's the key.
And that's the key, and that's where we do need regulations and rules because they're to help protect everybody. And employers, employees, we all have rules and regulations. Same thing for sellers and buyers. You want to make sure that you got something protected. You want to make sure as a buyer I'm getting what I should be getting.
Sure.
And as a seller, you don't want to be sued for something that didn't go well.
Well, think about that. That's not been that long in America where that's the case, where you could count on buying what you're told that you bought. I mean, and if you listen to Robert Kennedy Jr. right now, apparently we're still being screwed there. I don't know. I try to say I had to delete social media off of my home screen on my phone because I found myself just getting mad and worried all week, checking it. So now I only do it in spurts on the weekend.
It's tough because you could literally get in and then you just go down the rabbit hole and you're like, are you fucking kidding me?
I've got somebody we pay now to do our social media, and it's allowed me to now not look at it as much. I'm like, you do it. And
I have this guy too. His name's Freddie and Josh. These two guys. Yeah,
I heard they're amazing.
They make my life so much easier.
And I was thinking you need to probably pay them more than
I don't know that I need to pay them more, but I wish they could. I wish they could help me look a little thinner. That's the only thing I wish they could do.
Not magicians
here. Yeah, but that's they got a rough canvas to work with, but they do great. So
well, I have enjoyed the time that I've enjoyed the time I've gotten to spend with you, knowing you through John, and then now partnering you with the Law Tigers, and I've really enjoyed that, and I really appreciate you, and I value our friendship, and I appreciate you having me on here. It's been awesome.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you joining us in the lighter state of Brown, and you were our first guest, and it couldn't have gone any better. And thank you.
You're welcome.